All right. Guess what? We're live for Triple T number 155. One double nickels. Yes, holy cow. Welcome to December 17th, 2024. My name is TJ Zel. I like to call myself a professional problem solver and follow that up with, no, I don't know everything. I'll never claim to know everything. In fact, the more I learn, the more I realize how little I know. But I do have a unique way of asking questions and helping people to drill down to find the answers that they're looking for. I feel privileged to help people with depression, anxiety, phobias, PTSD, relationship challenges. I offer corporate coaching. I work with athletes all the way from beginner all the way up to pro level. That's been a fun, some of the pros I've worked with, it's been fun, I have to admit. For those of you on YouTube, hi Mom, love you. Please do all the YouTube stuff, click the like button, click the subscribe button, ring the bell, leave comments, comment on other people's comments, all the above. Go back and if you get a chance, watch some of the other ones that you haven't seen and like and comment on those as well. Doesn't cost you anything, but sure helps me out. What else we got? I got a new website up and running. We're still doing some changes and modifications, but looking way better than the one that I did back in the day. So, whoop, 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 whoop. Guess you get what you pay for. The website is theTSWB.com. That's right, the tall, skinny white boy. That is what it stands for, has stood for as long as I can remember, which is way before internet. So don't even go looking for it on the internet other than my website, because there's some stuff there that is not the tall, skinny white boy. Just going to let you know, and that's not me. I do offer a free, did I say free? Yes, no charge, 30-minute consultation. That's your opportunity to spend 30 minutes with me going over any challenges, obstacles, goals that you want to look at accomplishing, getting past, getting over, all the above. And if I'm a fit, I will let you know. Also, if I am not a fit, I promise I will let you know, and I will do my best to help you find somebody who will be able to find and help you get the solutions you are looking for. Okay, breath. I have a bit of a sore throat tonight. Seems it's going around the planet. So we're going to have lots of people talking in funky ways tonight. But it's time to introduce, I was going to say the tie, but tonight we get to introduce ties. I'm going to let Mark go first because guests get to go first. Mark, show us your tie and give us a little background on it.
Oh, I've had this tie for many, many years. A favorite of mine. Hides in the closet most of the year. It's frosty and so old that the button down here that would light up Frosty's nose doesn't work anymore. But I'm still rocking the Christmas tie many years later. So that's Frosty.
Right on. And for those of you that are, if you're new to Planet TJ and Triple T, every week this year I've worn a different tie. Yes, that's how many ties I have. And I still have plenty of ties to go, but we don't have that many weeks left. But yes, check this holiday one out.
Oh my God, there's holly on it. Like not our holly, Bigelow holly. Like, it's so cute. And ornaments. It's very cute.
Very cool.
So that's one of my, I think I've got 4 holiday ties. And before we get into this too far, next Tuesday is Christmas Eve. And I've been thinking about it, and I think what I'm going to do is I will be jumping on next week. I'm going to make it a short session. It's not going to be a 2 hour. And I want to let all you know, you're not obligated to show up at all. If you got family stuff going on, if you've got church things, if you've got whatever stuff going on, I understand. My goal, and to top it all off, the week after that is not only New Year's Eve, it's my wife's birthday. And so I'm going to do my best to jump on for a short bit also, so that I can finish off a straight run of triple T's, keep it going. But yes, there will be, they will not be standard triple T's. They will be shortened. We'll get some recording out there and get back to celebrating the reason for the season. So, anybody got anything they want? Oh, hand up. Yes, Lenora.
I wanted to say, sorry for that, but two things. I love that you are still going to be here. Sadly, I won't be able to make it, but I love that you are, because I know how many people that aren't in the Zoom room that do watch you and do enjoy seeing what you share and hearing all that you share. And I have no doubt that it'll mean a lot to people who aren't necessarily with other people on those very specific days. So I think that's awesome. Happy birthday to Tina. And also, very quickly, if anybody has a desire or would like to reach out to TJ and have a complimentary call with him, I highly suggest doing it. Because you can ask questions. There are people who are very salesy. Yeah, I know. It's kind of a thing. This is what I sound like. There are people who are very salesy, and TJ is not one of those people that would push you into signing up for something or working with him. But if you have questions and you would like somebody's insight, I highly recommend reaching out to TJ or anybody in the group, because we're all very similar in the fact that we don't push. And if it's aligned, if it matches, if it feels like it resonates, that's all that matters. And those are my thoughts.
Aw, thank you. Check's in the mail. No, erase. That was not a paid endorsement. Anybody got anything from the last 7 days that they would like to share before we get into the Mark?
Just wanted to, thank everybody for the continuing prayers, and, my wife doing better, on the road, going the right direction. I just wanted to share, like I said, this is, if you recall, I made a goal to try to be, participating, in, triple, into, the podcast 90% of the time. And I think I've already achieved that.
Yes.
So I met my goal for 2024 as far as the podcast, and it's been a pleasure, and not my swan song. I'm just saying that, but I'll probably be around, the next week. So we're still, trying to keep things quiet. We're going to try to do some stuff with the family. Next Tuesday and Tuesday after, I'm free. Anybody wants to come and play, and warm salt water, Lenora, warm salt water, gargle. Look at that.
Mark,
That's it.
I do want to thank you. Yes, I remember you making that promise that, and I appreciate your support. I truly do. I appreciate your insights, your knowledge, and everything that you share on here. So, thank you. Anybody else got anything they want to share before we dive into 155? All right, let's get her running. Tonight's topics: living while looking, instant information, and the new habit. So diving right in, living while looking. Those of you that have been around Triple T for a while know that I get a whole lot of my content from my clients and sessions that I do. And this, of course, is no different. I've got a lot of clients that have been coming to me for relationship stuff, and there's a protocol that I've authored that has been quite successful. I call it Triple P, Perfect Partner Protocol. And the reason I call it Perfect Partner is because they're perfect for you. They may not be perfect for somebody else. We go through, and I have my clients do a very in-depth list of all the qualifications, qualities, disqualifications, things of that nature of what they're looking for. And I tell them that Triple P is actually R&D. It's research into humans. What do you notice? What do you like? What don't you like? Why don't you like it? And the research also reveals a lot of the values and criteria foundation building blocks in a person, which allows you to develop yourself better so that you can prepare yourself for when your perfect partner shows up. Well, the question came up, as it often does, being we are adults. Well, what if things have the opportunity for romance? Like, well, you're over 18. You can do what you want. You can also analyze your feelings about that and what you're getting out of the transaction. And no, I'm not talking getting paid. Don't even go there. Stop typing. It's the exchange of the energy, of the time, all the above. And one of my clients had to analyze what was it that made them feel so wrong about the idea of enjoying some private time while they're still in Triple P. And I coined the phrase for them: you don't have to quit living while you're looking. And the ahas and the bells rang and all this stuff, and I can't exactly, I can't really give you the quote of what they came up with, but it was pretty good. But the more I got to thinking of it later with a couple of my other clients since then, so many people are talking about wanting this better life, and they're looking for a better life, and they want this and they want that, and they're waiting for it to start, and they're trying to figure out how to get it rolling and all these things, and they're doing the same thing. They're not living while they're looking for this new thing. they're not going out and trying things. They're not, just like I've got people that come to me quite a bit who are looking at a potential career change. And for me, it's easy. I've those that know me, when I was traveling a lot, I didn't care as long as I could work. I'm on profession 28, and it wasn't because I was a job hopper. It was because I had this weird addiction to living indoors and eating. So if I could find a help wanted sign somewhere, or even just asking around, I'd be like, "You're looking for help? Yeah, have you done this before? It's been a while. Why don't you show me exactly how you want it done, and I'll do it that way instead." And I just dove in. Now, I could have passed on a lot of those different jobs because I haven't done them before, or had all of the inner talk of, "Well, they're gonna know I'm a fake. Oh, well, what if they find out that I haven't done this before? Like, oh my, what if I suck at it?" I've worked at enough places where people who actually have experience showed up. They sucked at it. They sucked at it worse than I did showing up with no experience. So what if it does work? If you're in a relationship or a job or an area that sucks, change it. Life is both too short and too long at the exact same time to be involved with something that sucks. Now, am I saying you wake up tomorrow and march into your job and go, "Y'all suck, adios," and then you try and find a job? No. No. But start thinking about, if what you're doing isn't fulfilling, what might you want to do instead? What might you be able to do instead? And what can you do on your off time? And it always cracks me up. People are like, "You don't know, I'm very, very busy, and I got kids, and da." Yes, I get that. But how bad do you want a different life? How bad do you want a better life? Just like with my clients in Triple P, one of the, I don't know that I suppose I could call it a requirement for Triple P, is they are required to not be in a committed relationship for 1 year. And the pushback reaction I get 95 or higher percent of the time is, I've been waiting to find somebody, and now you're telling me I got to wait another whole year? I'm like, time's going to pass anyway. Do you want to date the same loser again? Well, no. Yes, then you have to wait a year. But it's 365 days of research and development. Go on as many activities as possible with as many activity people as possible. Anywhere you go and you interact with human beings or animals that remind you of human beings, start paying attention to how they make you feel. How do they make you react? And when you notice that they cause a reaction, what is it about the reaction? Why do you think you had a reaction? And it's a skill set. The vast majority of them, when they first start in Triple P, they're like, well, I don't know what I'm supposed to be noticing. And so I'll ask them, last couple of days, you had anybody that made you laugh? Yeah? What was it about them that made you comfortable enough to laugh? Do you have anybody that just, you looked at them, you're like, ew? What was it about them that caused the ew? And they start noticing that they're noticing things about people. And then you start analyzing why you're noticing and take notes. With the new year coming up, you guys have heard me drilling this pretty hard the last couple of Triple T's. What are you going to change in 2025? Now, do we have to go and make it a whole life change, or oh, thank you, Lenora. Yes, Lenora also put it, for those of you that are on YouTube or watching the recording, unfortunately, you don't get to see the chat portion of this because we get to share some amazing stuff in here. And normally I would have Lenora read this, but I'm going to save her throat because, yes. And what she wrote in there is, Triple P stands for My Perfect Person Protocol. What if we took the same concepts and did PLP, My Perfect Life Protocol, but wrote it out in the same amount of detail? Perhaps that's what all three journals stand for, right? Yes. And the three journals are My Person, and you can do this if you're married. My Tribe, which we should be working on improving constantly anyway, and My Streams of Income. And a lot of people get really confused on the other two, especially the streams of income. Because if you were trained in our public school system, you most likely have a belief system that a stream of income means a job, a job, a jump out of bed, a just over broke, and all the other acronyms that talk about the restrictions of the job. And maybe this is the year that you start researching different forms of income or investments, new what would I call it? New language, such as portfolios and net worth and debt ratio and all of those things. And all of that ties in to who you want to become, who is going to be included or added to your tribe. And the Streams of Income journal is also where you want to be writing down the details of what will the new streams of income, new forms of income allow you to do differently. it's not always just about money. It's also about the lifestyle, because sometimes meeting the right tribe, suddenly you get to do things you didn't think you could afford to do before. Or you meet people in the tribe that completely change your life. In 2009, I believe it was, 2008, 2009, I joined an MLM network marketing company called World Ventures. And because I found that opportunity, I got to go on so many trips, vacations, that I never, ever, ever dreamed I could afford. And I met some amazing people who changed my life. Namely would be Dr. David Snyder, who I met as a direct result of being a member of World Ventures. And here we are. And so there will be opportunities that will present themselves in the coming year. Part of what you can put in to your streams of income journal can be the ability to travel more, the ability to go on motorcycle rides, the ability to whatever. And this could be meeting somebody who's a member of those groups, becomes part of your tribe, and now you get to do these things. Another part of income stream that I learned from Dr. David was, if you want to make, bless you, if you want to make more money, move to a place that costs more to live. And the look on people's faces was all that, what? Well, if I can't even afford to live here. Well, if you're going to be broke anywhere, why not be broke where everything's really cool to live in? That was my father's reaction when I told him that I was moving to San Diego. And he's like, oh, it's so expensive out there. I said, yeah, it is. But I'm broke at the end of the month here. So if I'm going to be broke at the end of the month there, I'd rather be there. But notice the languaging I had back then. If I'm going to be broke at the end of the month there, now I know what I should have said. Yes, but people make way more money out there. I won't have to be broke at the end of the month out there. And so maybe one of the things you add in your journals is learning how to speak better about money. And that's a great idea, Lenora. Lenora put an idea in the chat. Anybody willing to share what they're working on to create a better 2025? Michael.
I've been working on a program for Lunch Money Club to create a way to have a large commission up front. And so it should be really good. We've been working on funnels, learning all kinds of stuff, creating videos. I'm sending you copies of them. And if all goes well, which knock on wood, it will. So Should be a $500 commission up front for my sales reps and then a reoccurring commission going forward. So kind of exciting.
And for those that are watching this and have no idea what Lunch Money Club is, you want to explain a little bit more? This is your chance to brag on purpose.
All right. Lunch Money Club came to me in a dream about 6 years ago, and it was a company I designed to help everybody involved. It's basically a subscription where people can join month to month, and they get discounts at over 500,000 businesses and growing. It allows businesses like your business to advertise for free. And we just ask that you extend a regular or some sort of new discount or special offer to our members. So now somebody can reach out to you and say, oh, man, TJ's a hypnotist who does all this stuff. I'd like to just call to him. And so then TJ offers a 30-minute session just to meet and greet, see how it works, and see if you're a fit. And they wouldn't have found him without that help. So it's kind of cool.
It is very cool. And where can they find more information about that?
At lunchmoneyclub.com currently, and soon we'll be doing advertisement on Facebook.
Right on. You heard it here. Lunchmoneyclub.com.
Oh,
Very cool.
thank you.
Anybody else want to share anything that they plan on changing or improving on in the next year? Yes, no, maybe so. I know that I just got my acceptance to speak once again at HypnoThoughts Live in Las Vegas. So this will be my 6th year of presenting there. So working on that and a few more trainings coming up. Think I may have finally located, I've located a couple of venues where I can train at, but I wasn't overly happy with the layout or the price. Some of them are like, yeah, we don't care if it's only 5 of you, it's going to be blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, yeah, no, that's okay. So look for those. Anybody else got anything they want to share? Now I'm gonna surprise one person with a question. They know already now that I'm probably gonna ask them a question, because they told me they had an idea of doing something a little over a year ago, and within 1 year they got to do it twice. And most people don't even get to do it once. So what's the power of an idea that you follow up on, even if you're scared to death about the thought?
There's a lot of power in it. If you count it, I was working with TJ once, and it was like December of 2022, and I refused to tell him what I wanted to do. I refused to absolutely say what it was that I had wanted. And in that session, we were going back and forth, and he was dealing with a lot of upset me. And I think the next day I had said what I wanted. And then within 10 months, I got the green light that I would be giving a TEDx talk. And my second TEDx talk, hopefully I'm getting the raw footage. But unfortunately, hilariously, because it was my second time speaking there, they won't release it. So I can only get the raw footage. And hilariously, they all now consider me to be a professional speaker, because they said that I was so professional that they won't publish it. So It's a good thing.
I have to admit, when she told me and told me what, or read to me the reply, I'm sorry, but we don't allow professional speakers on TED Talks. I'm like, they have no idea that a year and a half ago, the mere thought of speaking in front of how many people? Yeah.
There was a lot of tears.
And
I had a very big fear of it.
and the funny part was when I went, that's awesome. She goes, no, they said no. I went, forget the no. Why did they say no? Because you're not allowed to be a professional speaker on TEDx. That's how good you did. And they can never, ever take away the fact that you were on a TEDx stage twice in 1 year. And when you got on stage, how many other people had accomplished that?
Only one other person in 12 years. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's very cool.
I will say the benefit to sharing with other people. I was really upset when I got that, but this is the benefit to being in the tribe and having people that support you. I was upset and he read it in a totally different way. My husband read it in a totally different way. And they weren't upset about it. They were like, this is great.
Yes. And for those of you that are watching for the first time, this is not her professional speaking voice. This is very, this is a very limited voice. So anyhow, uber proud of you. Anybody else willing to share anything any dreams or aspirations they have for the upcoming year? Yes, no, maybe so. Maybe this is a good time for me to jump into topic number 2 so that I can hopefully squeeze all 3 in tonight. Again, if this is your first time, if you're wondering, yeah, there are times when if I get 2 of the 3 in, we're lucky. So, Holly.
Before we move on to the next thing, sorry, I do have a follow-up question. The living, because this is obviously a topic that I could probably ask questions for days on, living while looking. It makes sense why we should do it. My question is how to do it. Because talking about it that I really struggle with it. Because I kind of see the first bit of a relationship or a job or whatever is the part that I go through to earn what's better that comes later, if that makes sense. So how can I change that?
Explain that question just a little bit better in how you said it, please.
Okay, so if I get a new job or a new friend or a new relationship or any of those things, I feel like the first year and a half probably-ish is where I'm learning about whatever's going on. I'm making mistakes. I'm learning if I can trust the other person. They're learning if they can trust me. I feel like the first, and it may not be a year and a half, maybe less than that, but the first bit of a relationship is the miserable part where everybody's like constantly accidentally offending each other, or if I'm at a job, it's where I'm getting all the things wrong. But it's worth going through that because, eventually there's something possibly better on the other side of it. If you end up matching, if you end up being able to deal with each other, if you end up being able to forgive each other, get to know each other, it'll be worth it because the relationship at the end or the job at the end, when you're actually finally good at the job because you've learned it, it'll be worth it. But I've always felt like that first bit is miserable, but it's the price you pay so you can have the good thing on the tail end, if that makes sense. So how can I change it so that the first part isn't miserable, it's actually fun?
Well, this would be a great question for the second hour, but I'm going to.
But that's fine.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to table this for the second hour with just one little caveat. I want you to hear how you asked the question and the setup. With the expectations that things are going to be miserable for a year and a half before they get better. And what I've found is the vast majority of jobs and relationships that I've started, it was just the opposite. It started out amazing. And then the longer we were around each other, especially when it came to jobs, I would find out that I'm not a very good employee because I have a certain way of doing things and I've got enough education and experience that when I see people doing things below their abilities, it bugs me. So think about that. Everybody else can think about it too, and we can make that the first question in the second hour. And this next topic might help as well, which ironically, the name of the topic is instant information. And again, this came from one of my sessions with my clients, and it's loosely based on the idea of the most expensive words when somebody's willing to teach you something are, I know that. And the reason behind it, and those of you watching this, watched a couple of people on the call mouth it out because they've heard it from me a billion times. The reason being is when you get a chance to learn something, it may be the 21st time that somebody's trying to teach you this again. And you're like, I know that. The difference is you are not the same person as you were the 20th time you learned it or the first time you learned it. You've learned other things. You've experienced things. And it may hit you from a different angle this time. It may be that one little tip that all the dominoes finally lined up the way they should, and all the information that started at the first time you heard it, click, and all the dominoes fall and everything comes into place, and you're like, oh, now I get it. And so don't judge yourself by how long it takes you to learn something as well as somebody else, because you didn't lead their life. You don't know what they learned before the class or the bit of information came to them. The other thing is there is so much information available to us today that it's easy to get overwhelmed, underwhelmed, or underdriven, I guess I could say, because you know where you can find the information. One of my other clients is beating themselves up because they paid for a subscription to learn how to speak Spanish, because in their business they have a number of Spanish only speaking employees. And after asking a few questions of them, it came out that they don't have to know how to speak it fluently because there are still enough multilingual employees that can help them out. So they learn just enough Spanglish to talk with everybody there. And if they have to get very intricate and they can't properly communicate with the ones that can only speak Spanish, they can always find somebody to come in and translate for them. And so the urgency is not there. And so I told them that maybe they need to ask for help from the multilingual employees. Instead of translating for them to the other employees, teach them quickly how to say it and then have them say it to the employees. So there's some application. What it comes down to is, what do you want to learn? What is the driving force? And how are you going to set yourself into a position to ensure that you are going to learn what it is you want to learn? And this can even be for a different job that you would like. Oh, I wish I could work there. Okay. How much time have you spent talking to the people that work there? Well, I don't know anybody that works there. Maybe that would be a good place to start. Find out what their day is like. Find out what kind of work, what kind of skill sets are required to do one of the jobs that you think you may want to do. Are there any other jobs there that utilize your current skill sets? And what could you add to those skill sets to make yourself more marketable? Yeah, but I don't want to do what I'm doing right now. Oh, it sucks. Okay, but you still have skill sets. Where do they interweave with other professions? Even in the 28 professions I've had, there have been a certain number of skill sets that went along inside of those. And when I was taking classes with Lillian Pearl Bridges, she had a class called The Golden Path. And a lot of people at first think that it's this magical class that's going to analyze your face and analyze stuff and then tell you what job you should have. No. It analyzes your personality and your skill sets and gives you an idea of what direction you will want to look for in different professions in the future, so they fit better. And yeah, Lenora, you're absolutely right. I find the hardest part is when people argue that it will take too much effort or that it's not realistic. And of course, when they try and pull that with me, I'm like, I've been tossed out of this fire and thrown into that fire pan and then flipped out of that frying pan over into this fire. And sometimes that was the biggest blessing, because I didn't have the opportunity to analyze about, well, what if it's going to fit, or what if it's going to be this, or what if it's going to suck, or what. I just knew that I wanted to sleep indoors and I wanted to eat. And so I did it. And I've had some great jobs that were taken from me through no fault of anybody. I had a great job working for an amazing man in my hometown, Jim Carm, and it was awesome. Yeah, Jimmy and I had a couple of headbuttings, but that's because I can be a little difficult at times, and so can he. But unfortunately, he passed away backstage after introducing Little Texas on stage, right in front of me. And I don't tell you that story as a tragedy, no, because the life that Jimmy led, if there was any way for a person to go, I can't think of a better way. He was in his element. He was happy as can be, got to be up on stage and be the MC and introduce a great country act, and was talking to me, and all of a sudden, massive heart attack, flat as a board, and he was gone. Two. And as a result, the stuff that followed after that, I was no longer an employee at that place. But I moved on. If Jimmy were still alive today, there's still a chance that I might be there. Or I may have gotten into a situation or position to take over, and I would still be working in my hometown. So I don't have a problem with change. I have more of a problem with comfort zone. Especially when the comfort zone has enough sewage in it to make you uncomfortable, but not uncomfortable enough to get out of it. The comfort zone is a great place to stay, but nothing really grows there. And I'm just going to let this segue right into the third topic, because I've got 8 minis left. And I know you're shocked. The third topic, the new habit. Yes, the new year is coming up quickly, and everybody has been programmed to believe that that is when you have to start these new resolutions, these new lifestyles, these new changes. And I'm like, fine, okay, we're here. What are you going to do? Have you thought about it? Have you reflected on 25 and graded yourself? Or on 24, I mean. Have you looked back at the year that has gone by and stepped outside of yourself and looked at your progress? What would you grade yourself? Would you call it a life? If your best friend lived the exact life that you now know absolutely intimately, and they asked you, do you think I did a really good job in 24? Do you think I lived to my potential? Do you think that I did everything that I needed or could have or should have or would have done in 24? What would you tell them? What advice would you give to them based on the last 12 months? What could they change without feeling overwhelmed? And sometimes the new habit, back to one of my clients today, was talking about they want to exercise more. And they've got a rebounder that they used to enjoy, but they always catch themselves doing scrolling, wasting. They're like, I just want to do 10 minutes of rebounding, and I can't even do that in a day. But I'm just going to check Facebook for a minute. And 45 minutes goes by like that. And so I said, well, A, why is it important to you? And B, when can you set a timer on your phone that as soon as that timer goes off, doesn't matter, it's only 10 minutes. Get up, walk over there, get it done. And set that habit. Even if you start out with just 2 minutes, set that habit and start scheduling these little changes. I know some people that they've built into a routine to do push-ups. They've got a routine that every time they do something during the day, they'll do a couple of push-ups, which doesn't sound like much, but once you get in the habit, that simple little change. And of course, there'll be people out there, I can't even do a half a push-up. Good. Then that's where you start. Start out, get down, lay down on the ground, and just try to push your body off the ground. And maybe set a timer for 1 minute. And see how many times you can at least push yourself away from the ground, even if it's not a full push-up, even on your knees.
Yeah, girl push-ups.
And all the girls are like, okay, that's it.
Yeah.
Well, with my shoulder right now, that's all I can do. I can't even do a push-up on my knees. My left shoulder is still like, do-do-do-do-do-do.
Are you doing planks?
No,
Okay.
that's why I've got to change some stuff. Because even though I'm very active, my activity has slowed down. And I'm not getting the cardio in. And so now that I've had this as an excuse and threw out my back before as an excuse, realizing that this probably got hurt because it weakened when I stopped working out because I threw my back out. And so part of what I'm looking at for 25 is getting my body back into health, into strength, into going the long run.
And subconsciously, I've been sending you lots of videos,
Yes,
different things on how to do that.
yes, funny how that works.
Yeah.
And I added some stuff in my shop so that I can start working out in my shop. So I'll be mixing that up and during the day, taking little breaks, and instead of social media, I'll go over and do some work to try and energize myself again. And that brings us to the top of the hour. Anybody got any ahas, epiphanies, questions and stuff about the three subjects? Michael.
I was actually, one of the videos I'm working on right now is mindset, or my little thing I was telling you about.
Mhm.
Watch the video, and it actually goes hand in hand with what we just talked about. I took notes, so I will reference you when I do my video.
Oh, well, thank you.
But what he did, and this is going to go into Holly's stuff. Uh-oh, where's my little thing go? There you are. With Holly's stuff as well that she brought up a little while ago in the first hour. So like watching a video, the guy was talking about relationships, and this religious guy went to go do wineries and all this stuff, and he met all these people that have wineries in the Napa area, and they're all wealthy and implemented, made the floppy disk, and then they're okay. Well, I made my wealth now. Let's go ahead and have a winery. And then he starts talking to them. They've all been married for like 30 and 40 and 50 years, and they go to this one winery, and the wine was like really good, and then 2014 was super expensive. And they said, well, why is it so expensive? Well, we had a fire that year. Oh, so you didn't have any, all the grapes got burned up. Nope, supplying them in. Nope. Before that, we had a big frost. Okay, so there was just no supply. He says, no, what happened is the seasons made the grape get really thick skin, and it made it a fantastic wine. And then they did it a little deeper, and they said, okay, so these people who own wineries understand that grapes have seasons, and so do relationships. And the ones who can make it through the winters are there to enjoy the spring and then the fall, and it has the different seasons, and all relationships have that as well.
Awesome.
So stick to it.
That's super cool. Thank you for sharing that. Well, for those of you that are new to Triple T or watching the recording for the first time, I forgot to let you know how I set this up. The first hour, obviously, we're finished with that. I've got my three topics I try to get through. Second hour is open platform, open mic. Anybody on the call can ask a question or bring up a topic. And I let people on the call answer first because I like to learn as well. And if there's anything I feel I can add to the answers when everybody else is done, that's when I add my two centavos. And Holly had actually asked a great question earlier that I thought would be a great question for second hour. And Holly, now I answered it a little bit and primed a few people. Would you mind repeating the question so that we can let everybody else answer for you, please?
Okay, I'll try. So basically the idea of we were talking about living while looking. And what I've discovered is, when I find what I'm looking for, maybe I found a good relationship, I found a job that I love and I'm good at. When I get to that found point, I can enjoy the relationship. But when I'm still looking, when I'm in that first few months of a relationship or the first few months of a job, I don't enjoy that part. I want to enjoy that part. So my question is, we got the why of why we should live while we're looking. My question is, how can we live while we're looking? What can we do that makes that better?
All right. Who can jump in and start giving answers to Holly's great question? Come on, kids. Mark.
Well, the again, you've Ollie, I think you have this presupposition that the first 90 days is just gonna suck. And that, alluding to what Michael said, that's probably the wrong mindset, in a new job or whatever, that, because you're finding, you have to delight in the unknown, the ahas of, the job, other people, relationship. I think wrong mindset. I think, like, I, to look at, to take that part and, suppose it's just going to suck for, for 90 days or whatever. Because there's a lot of, I would say it's the wrong mindset. There's so much, to learn about people, because, their job, there's new skill sets to acquire. But, if you do it, you can start out, what you're telling yourself, I think, is that, well, it's just going to suck for 90 days, and then it will get better. Maybe it won't. That's my thought, is that, you got to change that mindset of the presupposition about that, about your when you start a new relationship, start a new, career path, that, it's the wrong mindset. I have plenty of people that I can teach them all the skill sets in the world, but if they don't have the right mindset, they're never going to make the attempt, because I don't know where I got this. Might have been Dr. David, but people do things for two reasons: to gain pleasure and to avoid pain. And when they look at, doing something out of their normal skill set or mindset, they're anticipating pain rather than pleasure. So you can change that mindset. I think you'd uh, I think a lot of that stuff would evaporate.
Thank you. Great answer. Anybody else got something to offer up for Holly? Yes, no, maybe, nobody? Well, and one of the things, go
Along
ahead.
with Mark, is you find what you look for, and like what you said when you tabled the conversation in the beginning, you're like, hey, when I go into a job, I found that the first part of the job was really great, and then it kind of went down because you're looking for the adventure, you're looking to learn new things, you're looking the way they do it, trying to find the better way. And Mark's right on. Mindset. We find what we look for. And if you go look for man, this is going to be a shitty first part of the relationship, pardon my language, you're going to find that. But if you look for the good, you will find that as well.
Yep. Anybody else?
I could chime in a little bit.
Please.
Okay, so she was mentioning about relationship or work, right? The way, good thing about relationship is that isn't that there's always a honeymoon period. So there would be, if you approach it that way, where everything is good, so there's a reason why you're working at this new company. There's something that excites you, or at least, well, besides the money, there would be something that you would have said, yes, I want to work for this company, because of the opportunities that it can present to you. So you get to learn something new. You get to learn new people. You get to learn a lot about yourself. Same thing with any interaction with anybody. It doesn't have to be a new partner. It's kind of like when you're making friends, right? If you go to an event, if you get excited that you're going to get to meet new people, you're going to discover all these things, that's all you're going to see. And if you see something that's not good, it's like, okay, you don't need to pay attention to it. Although sometimes when it comes to work, at times you don't have any control over that. So just paying attention and observing that, seeing, is that something that's constant? If there's a way for you to set boundaries in a way that resonates with that person. Obviously, it's the getting to know you stage, so you get to learn how they respond and how they speak or how they react when something is brought up. And I think that's the best part about it. And when the honeymoon stage is over, it's like, okay, now, like, you know, this tunnel vision was like everything is great, and now that you get to take them off, you get to see, like, okay, what else have I missed? Or you could just say, okay, I'm noticing this. You pay attention. Is this something good for me? Is it an environment that's good for me? Kind of same thing with a relationship. Is the person good to me? How am I treated? Do I want to continue to be in this environment? And you know, you get a choice, right? So I think there's something that I've seen before where you choose how you react to something. I forgot what the saying is, but it's it's definitely about the mindset. Sometimes it's hard. It's difficult when it just feels like that's all you're encountering. So I don't know. I mean, you're very good at reframing things. So how can you reframe it where you're learning from it and you make the most out of it? And maybe if you need to make a plan as far as an exit strategy, then do that. Because I mean, it depends, right? It depends on your situation. It depends on the environment. So you know, you get to evaluate. At least that's my take on it.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Good answers. Anybody else? One thing I'll throw in here, and especially for you, Holly, you are so good at helping other people and helping people talk through things. When you get to a point like that, A, you've got a tribe you can lean on. But B, what advice would you give yourself, or what advice would you give to one of us in that situation? Or what advice would you anticipate one of us would give you in that situation? And it doesn't hurt to be looking for work while you've got a job. It used to be the big, oh, I can't, I mean, what if they find out that I was looking for a job? What if you tell them, I'm not looking for me, I'm looking for a friend of mine. We don't have a job opening here. There are things like, what do they call them? Not placement, job placement deals. And somebody help me out here with what they're called. Temp places. The downside is they don't pay as much as when you work there full time, but you're not under quite the obligation either. And yes, Nancy said the great part is you can say yes or no to the job. And she said, Nancy says she does temp jobs for a lot for extra income. Yeah, the work's out there. And even if the work's not out there, Gary Vaynerchuk has proven that anybody with a cell phone has the ability to make money in this day and age. it'll come down to what restrictions you or your programming are putting on yourself. What would you do if I've asked a number of people that are in a job they hate, and I said, okay, so what would you do if the company got bought out by one of those ruthless business disbanders and came in and bought it, and everybody's done, no job? Well, I don't know. Well, you may have a little bit of unemployment money, but that's when you should be trying things the hardest, as far as I'm concerned. Get out there and try a job with the mindset that I had for many years. I was looking for a job when I got this one. And if I could find this one while I was looking for a job, then I'll find another one. And I've done some sucky jobs. I have. I've worked on the back of a garbage truck. I've done carpentry and construction. Yeah. But again, I had that weird addiction to sleeping indoors and eating, so I didn't have a problem putting my ego and my pride in my back pocket and give it a shot while I was still looking for something better. Anybody else got any other advice you want to give on that question? Holly,
Can I ask a follow-up question? Great response.
please. Yes.
The one thing that keeps coming up in my mind over and over again as we're going through this is the idea of working with people who have what I consider to be unreasonable or unrealistic expectations. And this could be personal relationships, this could be in jobs. So I've kind of gotten to a point, so there used to be a part in my life where I'd try to meet them, I'd beat myself up for not meeting them. And then I went through another phase of my life where I just would cut those people out of my life. Because I'm like, I'm never going to be able to change your mind. I can't meet your expectations. We're just making each other miserable being connected. But one of the thoughts that goes through my mind is, in a job, this could be also in a personal relationship. Say you're in a relationship with someone and their family's this way. Or, so I guess my question is, when you have people in your life that have expectations that either you literally can't meet or you don't want to meet. So maybe they want you to go to their church all the time and you're like, I don't believe in your church. That's not my thing. Or, so it could be something that you literally can't do, or it could also be something that you don't think should be a priority and you don't make priorities your priorities. How do you build a relationship where these people aren't going to sabotage you, aren't going to go behind your back and try to basically destroy your life, and still be happy, have healthy boundaries with them, but still work with them when you need to, if that makes sense? How do you do that?
Great question. Oh, have I got answers for this, but who's going to start it out? Because somebody's got to give her some answers before I do. Come on, I know you guys got some input on this.
Could you repeat the last question? I just want to make sure I understood it, because there's one thing that came to mind, but I might not have understood it correctly.
Okay, so basically the question is, how do you deal with people who have unreasonable or unrealistic expectations of you that you still have to deal with them? How do you deal with them in a balanced way?
Gotcha. Okay. So what came to mind is my brother. So boundaries with my brother has been very, very difficult. I've actually did take time away from my brother. I gave myself 3 years, and then at 1 year I was like, okay, just the thought of it gave me anxiety. So I was like, yep, sticking to 3 years. And then when the 3 years came, I was just like, I'm okay not having this relationship. Although I heard that he was making changes in how he approached things, so I was open to it. Reached out and met up with him, and then he's talking to me as if I was still the same person the last time he spoke to me. And so I had to set boundaries in the beginning, or I start to push back and just say, hey, there's no need to rush, right? Getting reacquainted again. And he actually pulled back. And then so I allowed to, then I can, he actually told me that. And then, so I started making more time instead of him pushing, right? And then lately, what had happened throughout this year is that he would push for things. And my response would be like, no, not really. And then to the point where I just won't even respond to it. And I'll just change the subject. And to the point that later on is like, how can I help you? Didn't even ask him. Like, he switched it because he could tell that I'm even, I don't know what the saying is, but I'm even more like pulling back my energy because it's not resonating with me. It doesn't feel good to me. And so he's adjusting to how I am now showing up for myself. And I've seen this, or someone had mentioned it to me, is that people actually, if they want to stay in your life, that they would adjust to how you've grown and how you develop yourself. And I've seen that in the last few months. And so being open to that and not, thinking that they're going to be the same person. Allow for that space and see how they will eventually either be more open to how you are now, how you're responding, how you express yourself, and see how they actually step up to that, because they will step up that they want to continue to be part of your life. And the ones that they don't like it because either they can't handle it or they're just not ready for it, they'll follow it. And
Yep.
as long as you're okay with that, then it makes it so much easier. So at least that's my experience has been, and not just my brother, but friends as well.
Great answer. Michael.
100%. She is right on the money. It kind of goes into zero-based thinking, where if somebody's not bringing something into your life that's positive, it's okay to walk away from them. And to get back to Holly, you're an amazing person. You deserve good things. And if somebody has their limited expectations or their things they're putting on you, that's none of your business. You have your own space to take care of. What they think of you or do or don't do, that's on them. Let them do their thing, and you just keep being you and keep being awesome.
Yep. Fully agree. Fran.
Okay, well, I want to reframe it like reptiles and snakes. When you've finished a job or changing friendships, you shed a skin to grow and to become something new. And to start off with, that new skin is soft and vulnerable, but you have the opportunity to reinvent yourself into somebody who might be able to or could deal with whatever you're dealing with. It's an opportunity for growth. And, I loved the idea of having an exit strategy before you even enter into anything. That's kind of a handy thing in your back pocket, takes the pressure off. But who could you be in this new situation? How could it actually be a growth and an exciting challenge, meeting the world as more you than you ever were before, or deciding to be somebody completely different with this fresh break, with this new skin? You can be anybody you choose.
Another great answer. And while I was listening to all these great answers show up, something else crossed my mind. A number of things. One, get really good at saying a certain four-letter word. And that is next and also be willing and comfortable with saying goodbye to the Hallmark film that you created of how you think or you had hoped or how you wanted it to be. If it didn't turn out that way, make another movie. Get a new script. But so many people are so afraid of change because they're basing where they're going by where they've been. I've used this analogy before that they're driving down the road, and if this is the rear view mirror, they're driving down the freeway going, this freeway sucks. Well, yeah, but you're looking in the rear view mirror. I know, that's where I've been. This must be where I'm going. Get rid of the rear view mirror. Look what's in front of you. And if you don't like the freeway you're on, exit. New road. And I'm sure somebody out there is going, well, that's easy for you to say. Well, yeah, because I've had to do it a number of times. Was it fun? Was I like, wee, oh, I get to say goodbye. And this is, I'm going to try something completely new and it's going to be absolutely fun and amazing. No, it was a little freaky a couple of times. But I survived. Fran.
It's an opportunity for us to share our skills with each other because we all have these amazing skills. I mean, we've got, if you want to reinvent yourself, what's wrong with a bit of deep trance identification with the skills that you need to get into this new situation and thrive with it? And what's wrong with a little bit of emotional detox just to get rid of all the old past hurts and injuries so that you've got this clean slate to begin anew? It's a new opportunity. You know so many very talented people who can willingly and lovingly share these opportunities for changing who you are into somebody who can thrive in that situation.
Yeah. Good stuff. Did that answer your question, Holly?
Oh yeah, lots of great stuff. Thank you so much.
Okay. Well, I guess then that means we're open for another question or topic. So anybody got a good question or topic they can toss at the group? And Holly, if you got another one, you're more than welcome. That's how we fill up the hour. Come on, kids. I need a question. I know some people have, I say this every week, I know some people have notebooks full of questions. Really? You guys can't think of a single one? Can't hear you. Okay. You want me
She can't
to?
talk. Otherwise, what she'd be telling us.
Do you want me to ask that question then? This question had come up earlier before we got started, and it's understanding love languages. And had we talked, didn't we talk about this last week or something like that? But the idea or the concept that has grown from that conversation and about noticing what other people now have noticed about other people's love languages. And when you recognize what especially your top 3 are, have you noticed how you feel when when you're not being spoke to in your love language, but you catch on that the people that aren't speaking to you in your love language are speaking to you in theirs. Anybody got any insights, ahas, epiphanies on that? Crickets? One of my other clients, I brought this up, and actually I brought it up with 4 of my clients since, and all 4 of them had a pretty phenomenal download, because they noticed that the people that, especially in close relationships, that hurt them the most, hurt them using my clients were hurt because the other ones used my client's love language. And typically I find the ones that get hurt the most is the ones whose primary love language is words of affirmation. And because they're words of affirmation, they put so much weight and energy onto words that are spoken. Now you take a person whose love languages, words of affirmation aren't even in the top 4. They're probably going to be the ones that are going to hurt the person whose number 1 is words of affirmation the most. Because oftentimes to them, it's just words. I was just saying something. You don't have to take it out of, you don't have to get so upset. You don't have to do it. Why are you crying? Da, da, da. And they don't understand because it's not their love language. Their top 3 may be acts of service and gifts. And so they came over because your car was broke down. And so their love language, their number 1 love language is acts of service. So they come right over to work on your car, but while they're working on their car, they're telling you how stupid you must be because you don't understand that you have to do certain maintenance on the car to keep it running. And when your number 1 love language is words of affirmation, all you hear is stupid. And so you put immense power and weight on that one word. To them, they're just like, I've been called stupid 100 times. I could give a rip. Don't care. It's just a word. But if I show up to fix your car and you're like, yeah, well, you showed up and you couldn't get it running, so it was a waste of your time. Now they're going to be offended because their act of service meant nothing to you. And so the more we understand love languages, the more we understand how ourselves, how our foundation values and criteria are built, but also how others are built and how we affect them in different ways. Michael.
So what you're talking about, kind of, it's like I heard a comedian talk about different types of kind. So like in California, we've got the kind, oh, see somebody broke down on the side of the road. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'll try to call somebody for you. Good luck. And if you broke down in New York, well, you stupid dumb, what are you doing? Broke down on the side road, and they're get out and help you change your tire. And here they're beating you down, but they're picking you up. So it's different.
Yep. And real quick, Holly, while we're on that subject, I've had a good percentage of clients who are from New York and New Jersey. And once they moved away from there, had problems with self-talk without understanding where they came from and the regional training that they had about how friends and family talked about each other, flipping da 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 da, and when they got around people that don't talk that way, it was still trapped in their mind. Holly.
I'm loving everything else that was said too. That idea of giving a gift of your time or whatever and having it not understood and dismissed really resonated. Another thing I'm thinking about is, so mine is physical touch. And I think one of the biggest problems it gives me is because I don't get that need met very often. I'm just realizing it can also drive me crazy too. And I think that could be true for all of them. People who love gifts, but they almost never get them, or people who love words of affirmation and almost never get them. I think that when there's any need, and it could go beyond the love languages, but if there's a quote unquote need that we want, that we are looking for, that's really wired into our system, and we don't get it regularly, I think it can have a profound impact on every minute of every day, whether we realize it or not.
Absolutely. And that's why I was so glad when the chart about self-love in regards to love languages was brought out to help people understand that there are ways that you can meet your love languages yourself. And you can also help others once you learn their love languages by doing certain things on that list for them. Like if a person's, like you say, top love language is touch, but you're not near them, send them a gift certificate for a massage. Mark.
Well, that factors into what my mind was going with is that a lot of people, again, to do with the different love languages, are we in starvation mode for our love language? And if we don't get it, we could seek it out in less than positive ways. But you can also, like I said, you can do it in positive ways. If it's giving and receiving and gifts, go buy yourself a gift. Or positive self-talk, not, words of affirmation aren't forthcoming, record a real positive message and just yourself, because you're the one voice you listen to most. But when you give you're great, you're awesome, you're fantastic, you're I was just wondering about that starvation factor. If you're not getting the love, love languages we need, how do we deal with that? Are we, like you said about the massage, you could, if you physical touch is lacking, yeah, go get yourself a massage. Satisfy that need.
And great answer, because it brought up, after what happened 4 years ago, we know what I'm talking about. People got into such a survival mindset for a while, that I think that they actually went into starvation mode of their love languages. You know, with all the mind control and the fear factor and all of the above, things got so cattywampus that I think we're still trying to navigate back to our potential. So that may be something else where, as you reflect upon the last 12 months, you could even go back for the last 48 months. What have you accomplished? What have you set out to do? What have you noticed? What have you learned? What have you added to your skill sets to make yourself more marketable? One of the sayings in the MLM industry is you make a living working 9 to 5, but you change your life with what you do from 5 to 9. And so many of us, at the end of the day, after we put in our hours at the job, come home and our mindset is, I've done it and now I get to relax. And then you got the other people that, okay, now I'm done with that part of my day. Now I'm into this part of the day. My wife got her college degree going to night school. And so she worked all day, would rush home, make supper for the fam, and then go to college. Because she wanted to change her life. And do you have to do that your entire life? No, it's just a season. You pick out a season of your life and decide what you want it to be at the end of that season. Fran.
I want more thinking of seasonal and changing aspects of yourself. I want more sparkle in my life. Shirley Temple, if anybody remembers her,
Yes.
her mother used to say, "Sparkle, Shirley," and she would just turn it on. And I would like to have that sparkle instantly, easily. But I also like to be a chameleon at times and just be invisible. So what are other people's strategies for sparkling and being invisible? Or maybe they don't even think that way. Tell me your sparkle.
Great
secret.
question. Who's got an answer for that? Come on, kids. Michael.
It's like a light switch. You look at Marilyn Monroe, and she could turn it on. Like, for example, she would turn it off. She'd be walking through a subway somewhere, no one even noticed her, and then she'd turn on Marilyn. It's like, and it's all has to do with our mindset. Mark knows this as well. And so when you're ready to go in and you need to have your juice flowing, you flip the switch, you find out whatever excites you, you focus on that thing so it turns you on, and then you go. And when you're wanting to be a wallflower, that's easy. You see yourself as invisible or part of the wall, or however you want to do it, just kind of fade off into the background and lower your energy and absorb. So
Yep. Great answer. Anybody else got something for Mark?
Fran, as far as sparkle goes, I think you're already incandescent. Okay.
Stole my line.
No, I mean, when I'm, when I'm in the flow, when I'm with a client and I'm teaching them something new and they're eating it up like, cotton candy, um, that's when I shine. And then, there are times that I just need to, because I'm an introvert, I need time afterwards to charge my battery. So, that's the yin and the yang for me. But when you're on with our tribe, yeah, I think you're pretty incandescent.
But I want to be able to do that with even more people. I want to. It's kind of because I feel, I mean, the wonderful thing about sparkling is that you feel great too. But it does get to the point where you need some quiet time. It's like having an internal party, I guess. And sometimes you need a bit of a break from the party.
Can't be the life of the party all the time.
How
And
do you know when you're having a party if there's no break from a party? How do you know what's party and what's not?
You're always having a party. Sometimes it's a party of one.
I'm going to segue right off of that because this last weekend I went to a Christmas party at a very high caliber location, a private house, but the estate that this was on and the mini mansion that it was held in. I'm going to let people know that it does take some work, because here I am, a person who teaches this, a person who all the above, and I will openly admit that I had to step out at least a dozen times just to regain my energy. Because even though I kind of knew about 10% of the group there, it was dealing with the other 90% that I realized that I'm out of practice. Because living here in Texas, I'm not doing my classes, I'm not DJing, I'm not, when I was DJing in my prime, there wasn't a room big enough that I couldn't command. I had no problem walking into a place and walking up to anybody, because I was in practice. And this little Christmas party reminded me that it still takes practice, mindset, and a couple of times I went out, and the first few times I was like, oh, this really feels weird. And then I went, who are you trying to be? Who do you want to be? Who can you be that can go back in there and be the person that you would like to be inside of there? And so I had to take a little shift and go, all right, and go back in and rub elbows. And when I felt the energy kind of rolling off, I just walked back outside, did some breathing, regrouped, and went back in. And by the end of the night, I had found my groove. So we were there like 4 hours, and I would say like the last hour I was in my groove, but that first half hour took me some adjusting.
Kind of like jumping into cold water, though. You just got to do it.
Yes, yeah, oh yeah. And 3 weeks ago, yeah, 3 weeks ago, we went to, if it, I don't know if they have them in Australia, but here in the States, they have a new business deal called World Spas. And they have the one here that they just built has 28 hot tubs, varying different degrees, ranging from 94 degrees up to 104. They have different mineral compositions to match different hot waters from around the world for different reasons. Then they also have 2 cold plunge pools, one at 51 degrees Fahrenheit, one at 50 degrees Fahrenheit. And then they have 8 saunas of varying degrees. And yeah, that will also give you a little insight about finding your zone. When we got in, first thing we jumped in was the 94 degree, and that felt nice for a little bit. And then it felt cold because it's colder than your body core. And then we went into 104 and get down into that thing until it felt good. And then the group decided, yeah, let's try the one that all the adults are screaming in. I'm from Minnesota. We have ice-covered lakes. And I remember being young, dumb, and bulletproof and deciding it was a good idea to jump into the lake and swim out and touch the ice and then swim back and scream like a 5-year-old. And yeah, all that came rushing back as soon as that 51-degree water hit my body. And all my oxygen left my body right after I screamed. And then I went out and tried to get the oxygen back into me. But I did it 2 more times. Because you got it. Michael.
So this was a good session, and along with what Fran just brought up, I had a rough day today. I dealt with some really less informed people. And the first one, it was like react, respond, which we were talking about earlier, which is we have a choice to either respond or react to a situation. And I ended up coming back to my room because I'm in Lake Tahoe, and I broke out my Palo Santo wood and I cleaned all my energy. But then talking to Fran just now or listening, I trained with a shaman, and she says, be a butterfly. And you just kind of float along, and you're going to deal with ants and you're going to deal with crap. And if you go wander down and you're walking with the ants, they're going to eat your wings. So you just need to flutter off and go where you need to go.
Great analogy. Mark.
Yeah, I had this friend of mine. He's passed away now, but yeah, his name was Robert, and he was one of those individuals, Fran, that was larger than life, and he generated such a field around him when he was doing that other people wanted to feed off of his energy. And his one time we were down in Pennsylvania at a cigar convention. I decided, you know what, I'm gonna step out of my comfort zone, and I'm gonna try to be that larger than life guy. And I had some interesting experiences which are not suitable for mixed company. But yeah, at the end of it, I went back to him and I said, yeah, I was trying to be that larger than life guy. And I got good feedback from him. He said, yeah, you were kind of there. You were a little uneven, but you were there. So I was operating on his level, which was good to hear. And I said, yeah, I know why I was uneven, because it's not the avatar that I, that I have it. But, again, I brought it out and, but for a couple of days down there, I definitely stepped into it. Other people noticed it, and I was that larger than life guy. So, but, if you want to sparkle, like I said, you have to. I had a model right in front of me with my buddy Robert. But that, again, you want to sparkle, you got to be larger than life. Like talking about with Marilyn and that's a great book, Charisma. I'd recommend that to people.
Very much so. Anybody else got anything they want to add to that? And yes, Fran, please.
I think I'd like to become my Christmas wish, my New Year's wish is to become more comfortable with fallibility, with vulnerability, and leading with my heart and being okay if it's not accepted how I'd hoped. Anybody else give me some wisdom on being okay, being not okay? I know you guys have got it.
Yeah, I've got one that I love, but who else has something for quick? Mark.
I'll just say, you get into that situation, like you said, you just take a couple of handfuls of that, that pixie dust and throw it in the air and just walk through it, a whole cloud of it, and and being vulnerable can also, if you think about it, if you've got enough self-confidence in your vulnerability and it's not going to destroy you, your vulnerability can be invulnerable. So you just throw that pixie dust up and walk through a cloud of it and just lay it all out there. It's vulnerable can be invulnerable.
Yep.
About 5 seconds old.
Great answer. Fran, do you remember me talking about the time and date protocol?
Remind me, I can't focus exactly what you mean.
No, that's fine. Where I will ask a person to tell me the exact time and date, including the year. And I have them tell it to me, and then I go, yes, it is now here where I'm at, December 17th, 2024 at 7:57 p.m. And because you can hear my voice and we can have this conversation, means that you have survived 100% of everything life has ever thrown at you. There is not a single thing from your past that you are not stronger than. And knowing that, especially with what you asked about doing, Fran, you can do anything you put your mind to. Look at what you've already survived. And adding some more sparkle, that's just more of the best of Fran. That's just like take it out, magnify it, and throw it at the world because the world loves it. And so, like I said, I always ask twice. So if I were to ask you, for the sake of this demonstration, the reply would be, it is December 17th, 2024, and it is now 7:58 p.m. where I'm at. You're not even the same person you were the first time I asked you the question.
And I'm from the future in
Yeah,
Australia.
and you're from the future. You're from the
December
18th.
the 18th here.
See?
And you survived it.
Yes.
And survived it well.
So when I get so many people that are so worried about the future but yet they forget what they've already accomplished in the past, what they've survived in the past, what they've shown themselves to be capable of from the past. And when I show them, and you're worried about this, when you've survived that, this will be fine. We're here for you. And so I'm looking forward to a whole lot of Fran sparkle. I mean, I want to look down outside and wonder what that little glow is on the horizon. And they're going, there's a strange glow coming from Australia and it's covering the world. Yes, Fran found her sparkle. We'll know what it is.
Are the drones in Australia as well?
Yeah, they ran through the sparkle dust and now they're spreading it all over. Look how look how many people are smiling just at the thought of more Fran sparkle on this planet. In fact, that's going to be the last topic for the list of today's talk, Fran sparkle. Because here we are again at the top of the second hour. Talk about time manipulation. If you want to stretch out time really long, do a plank, because then a minute feels like 2 hours. And if you want to shrink time, do something you really love, because then 2 hours goes by like that. And as soon as I figure out how to reproduce time and give it back to you guys, you'll be the second to know, because that's why I always thank you for offering up your amazing time here on this platform. Michael, you got your hand up?
Are we meeting Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve?
We discussed that. I'm glad you brought that up for the people that had to join late. Thank you. Because it's Christmas Eve here and Christmas Day in Australia, if you guys are going off of that calendar, I'm not sure how that works down there. Here, so many people have family things and religious things going on. I'm going to do my best to jump on for a while. It's not going to be a full 2 hour, as far as I know. But I did promise to try and keep Triple T rolling. And so even if I do a short recording, at least it'll be episode 156. There'll be an episode. And then the week after that, of course, is New Year's Eve here and New Year's Day in Australia. And it's also my wife's birthday. So I'm probably not going to do another 2 hour on that day either, but I will do my best to get on for a short stint so that I can do episode 157. Y'all are more than welcome to jump on quick, say hi, and you're under no obligation to stay on for any amount of time. But we'll just keep it rolling. If I don't see you guys next week or the week after that, I'll see you next year. And I'll love you just as much, if not more. So again, thank you for the gift of your time on this platform. Please go out and put a brick on the throttle, live life, screaming like a 5-year-old and having as much fun as possible. And don't forget, habits don't have to be huge. You can start with something teeny tiny if you have a vision of where you want to go. And take the information. Pick something you want to learn. You don't have to become a doctor in a month. As long as you're learning, but keep living while you're learning and looking for that new. So, adore you all. Take care. See you as soon as I see you. Love you.
Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, everybody. Happy New Year. If I don't see you.
Christmas.
See y'all. Merry Christmas.
Happy
Merry
Hanukkah.
Happy
Happy
Hanukkah.
Kwanzaa.
Yes,
Happy
all
day.
of them.
Every day is Christmas.
Yes.
Every day. Look down and sit up.
Happy everything.
You got a tribe. Every day is Christmas.
Bye. Oh, love you, Mom.